Okay. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everybody who is joining us, ladies and gentlemen. It is an immense pleasure to be here with you, and on behalf of the UN Resident Coordinator, Dr. Dina Assaf, I welcome you all to this latest webinar session of 28 for 28, which is titled Technology for People and Planet. My name is Saif Awad, and I am the Data Management and Results Monitoring Officer in the Resident Coordinator Office here in the UAE, and I will be the moderator and host for this session. The UN Resident Coordinator's Office carries the responsibility for the coordination of all development efforts that lead to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, in the UAE. The SDGs are a set of goals brought to us by Agenda 2030 that the UN adopted in 2015, and of those goals, goal number 13, which implores us to take urgent action to tackle the effects of climate change. Earlier last year, it was announced that the UAE will host COP28, which is the 28th conference of parties of the UNFCCC, and the world's paramount meeting for climate and climate action. This webinar series is dedicated to the lead up to COP28, which will take place between November 30th and December 12th at the end of this year. You can find out more about our webinar series at our YouTube channel, and this session will be recorded and uploaded there. Our colleague Soraya is in the background helping us out, and she will be posting a link to the YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, the urgency to adapt and to mitigate the effects of climate change have pushed the world to create new and utilize existing technologies in a responsible way. It is irresponsible use of technology that brought us the climate crisis, and a responsible use of technology that will get us out of it. Innovative fields have been developed in response to climate change, ranging from new methods of extracting renewable energy from the environment around us to measuring the impact of rising temperatures from space. And to speak with us on the world of environmental technology and those innovative ways are our three speakers. I will introduce all of them before we move to our first speaker. We have Mr. Rajiv Garg, who is the Regional Manager for Africa, West Asia, and the Commonwealth of Independent States at the UN Climate Technology Center and Network. We also have Ms. Simonetta Di Pippo, I believe, if I've pronounced that correctly.
Perfect, absolutely.
Thank you so much. The former Director of the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs and the current Director of the Space Economy Evolution Lab at SDA Bocconi School of Management in Milan, and a professor at our own New York University, Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
And last but not least, our third speaker is Mr. Jihad J, as we call him, Sadiq, founder and chief visionary officer of FortiGuard, a cloud-based data company with a mission to cool down cities around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have our Q&A at the end of the session, and we would like to ask that if you have any questions, please place them in the chat. And without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Rajiv Garg from the CTCN. Mr. Rajiv, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Saif, and I would like to share my slides. Yeah, here it goes. Can you see the slides?
Yeah.
Great. I would like to begin my presentation by a short introduction of the CTCN, also means all the Climate Technology Center and Network. Just a minute. Let me get this thing right. Yeah, the Climate Technology Center or Network. This is created by the parties under the Climate Convention, and it was created way back as early as in 2012, 2013, and it became really operational in 2014. So the Conference of Parties created it with the sole objective of promoting or providing countries or facilitating countries on their technology adoption, technology transfer efforts. It is under the UNFCCC technology mechanism, and there are two institutions. One is the CTCN, which is an implementation arm of the technology mechanism, and the other is the Technology Executive Committee, which is the kind of a policy arm under the technology mechanism. The CTCN, or the technology mechanism, is kind of parallel to the university bodies or the institutions under the financing mechanism, like the Green Climate Fund or the GIF. Although it is under the UNFCCC, the parties created it, but the CTCN is hosted by the United Nations Environment Programme, or UNEP. The CTCN works in the countries through the focal points which are designated by each of the country, which we also call the technology focal points or the nationally designated entities. So any effort of the CTCN is through the government according to their priorities. And this is what the value proposition of the CTCN is. When the CTCN works, first of all, it is a lead UN body on climate technology issues and is focusing just on climate technology transfer. It is also a demand-driven process, means we do not go to the countries telling them, oh, you should do this or you should do that, but we ask the countries what do they want to do, what technologies they want to promote, what is their priorities, what is in their NDCs, and then we provide tailored solutions according to that. So you know, and the best way of thinking of it is we just do not say that this technology is good for you, but we also say, please don't adopt this technology at this point of time because the local conditions are not good enough for this technology to be success. So it's also avoiding kind of bad investment, because we have seen means countries investing in technologies which fail after some time. I won't say fail after some time, but it's not sustainable in the longer run, and they operate for 5, 6, 7 months, and then, you know, it becomes kind of a junk box. When we work on technology related issues, it is not just technology transfer, but creating business and economic opportunities. It's about creating employment. It's about creating the right kind of market in the country, so which leads to economic growth. It's about creating new policies which are sustainable in the long run. And we also do support technologies, not just on the fag end of the technologies, but across the complete technology cycle, right from collaborative research and development to piloting to demonstration and to developing business environment. And definitely one of the main focus is also on how the technologies would try to, you know, reduce the gap on the gender and the youth related issues. CTCN works both on the climate change adaptation and mitigation side, and on the bottom half of the screen, you will see the 5 core elements which are defined in the Paris Agreement in the technology framework, which we have been mandated to work on. And this includes, to a large extent, supporting countries on innovation, supporting countries on implementation of technologies, creating enabling environment, definitely involving the various stakeholders, collaboration and partnerships development, and also providing support to them to link with the financing mechanism so that the technologies which we advise on are scaled up. And this is both on adaptation and the mitigation sides of climate action. Till now, we have supported we have received 365 requests for technical assistance. And we work only in developing countries. So we have received 365 requests for technical assistance in the last 8 years, and from around 108 countries. Again, this slide shows a kind of a distribution. We try to maintain a balance between the mitigation and adaptation technologies, or request for mitigation and adaptation technology transfer issues, whereas now more often we see that this distinction is becoming more and more blurred because technologies have a kind of a cross-sectoral impact both on adaptation side and the mitigation side of it. Again, this is kind of a repetition of slide, but largely we have worked, and again, we have to have a regional balance. So we have worked in the Asia Pacific 37%, 35% in Africa and 28% in the Caribbean. Again, this is kind of technology request which we are receiving, or the request for support which we are receiving, like the decision-making tools or technology for research and development, or feasibility of particular technology. Technology means which technology to prioritize, developing roadmaps and action plans, piloting of these technologies, and also access to finance and how to engage the private sector into it. Again, this slide shows you the different kind of areas where we have worked, but largely 26% of the support we have provided to the countries is on creating decision-making tools at a local level. So right decisions are made and information is provided, or informed decision is taken, 20% on feasibility options, so forth and so on. The Climate Technology Center, by definition, has the word network into it. And we are a very small secretariat. We are a secretariat of 4 or 5 professional staff, including our director. We depend largely on a network of institutions, and we have this network which is more than, means here it is written 730 network members, but we have now close to 800 network members. And these are the network members which acts as our agents, act as our implementing partners in countries to ensure North-South, South-South, and triangular cooperation. So whatever technical assistance which requests which we receive, it is implemented by a network of institutions, and we select the best institution in the network based on a very competitive bidding as per the UN rules. And if you see the expertise which lies within the network, we have expertise in nearly all the areas. It includes, excuse me. It includes adaptation, it includes mitigation technologies, it includes coastal zones, it includes loss and damage, it includes agriculture, early warning system, all the elements. So we have a very, very strong network of these institutions, which is global in nature. And I'm proud to say that among this network, we have 50% institutions which are from the north, we have 50% institutions which are from the global south. We have institutions which are from the private sector, largely from the public sector, and we have institutions which are non-government organizations and other representatives. We have institutions which are focused on research and development on technologies. So this is a very, very strong network of institutions which we have and which we utilize in delivery of of the request for technical assistance which we received. We also have opened a partnership and liaison office in Songdo, South Korea. CTCN has recently opened, and the main objective is to enhance the linkage between the technology and the financing mechanism. As you all know, the Green Climate Fund is situated also in Songdo, and we would like to work more closer to it so that the technology solutions which we have provided are scaled up and the countries take it up through the financing mechanism, through the GCF. And this is one of the main objectives of this office. This office is supported by the government of Korea. One of the objectives of this office is also to build capacity in the countries. Means our experience have been that there is a lot of hand-holding which is required, specifically in the developing countries, specifically in the LDCs in the states, to identify the right kind of even request which comes to the CTCN. So there's a lot of hand-holding and capacity building which is required, and one of the objectives of this office is to build capacities of the NDEs. Definitely, we are also seeing this office to be developed as a center of excellence on collaborative RD&D. Means we most of the times see that specifically in developing countries, there is an enhanced need for collaboration and development of partnership between institutions and universities and research centers in the south with that in the north, so that tailored solutions can be developed. And tailored solution more often than not, when technology is transferred or when technology is promoted, we forget the kind of conditions that technology work in, and this technology has to be adapted at the local condition. And this is one of the most important things. Even the local manpower needs to be trained on how to fine tune the working of the technology, on how to do a kind of repair and maintenance, on how to adjust the on how to adjust the operation of the technology so that it keeps on working and does not conk off after a period of time. And therefore we require means a level of research more on the application side rather than on the basic research on identifying new technology. So you can say it is more of a creating innovative solutions or creating new solutions to suit the local requirement. Now, looking ahead, and this was also earlier the case, CTCN has been working or providing support to the countries in 4 areas. Technical assistance is one of it. Capacity building is one of it. Networking and partnership development is definitely one of it, but also a very important element is creating knowledge and sharing of knowledge and networking events. And we have our knowledge management platform, which is on our website, which provides all the information on the technology transfer projects which we have undertaken, the technical assistance which we have provided. The CTCN has developed its new program of work for the next 5 years from 2023 to 2027, and this has been approved and endorsed by the COP through the COP decisions. And its aim is again to facilitate the implementation and adaptation action through delivering transformational changes in a country-driven, gender-responsive manner. Just for the interest of the time, what I would say is that the program of work is focusing on 5 transformative areas which the parties have wanted us to focus on through 2 enablers, and these focus areas have been identified through a very rigorous consultative process amongst the parties, and also drawing lessons from the 9 years of experience of the operations of the CTCN. Now, these 5 transformative areas are: one is water, food, energy nexus, building an resilient infrastructure, sustainable mobility, energy systems, business and industry. And these are the 5 system transformation. These have to be implemented using the 2 enablers, which is the national systems of innovation and digitalization. Now, national systems of innovation is very important in the context of climate technologies, or in the context of any technology transfer. Means you need to have systems. You need to have inherent capacities in countries, specifically in developing countries, to identify innovative solutions. And these innovative solutions, when we talk about innovation could be both technology oriented and business oriented. The business oriented innovations would lead to rapid scale up. Means pay as you use models are nowadays very prevalent, and everyone is trying to replicate or copy it, which is good. But also there is a need for technology innovation, which is required, which would bring the local context into picture. And for that, we need to have national systems so that one after the other, it is not just that the external party comes, provide innovative solutions, goes out, and you are not sure what's going to happen of it. But and definitely, when we are working on this transformative solutions or transformative systems through enablers, we would also have to work on gender, youth, and indigenous community related issues, specifically how the technology is going to impact it, or how we can adopt the technologies which have been there in the indigenous communities and try to scale it up. There are various technical assistance. I'm not going to go into all of them, but just to provide you with a snapshot and just to be very simple, means like new policies, regulations, laws, or skills have been created. We have worked in Tonga, improve energy efficiency in buildings in the transport sector. In Tanzania, we have provided certification systems and trained people and installers so that they can do a good work in installing photovoltaic technology so that it is sustainable in the long run. In Pakistan, we have worked and implemented their National Energy Conservation Act so that it gets implemented and taken up by the industries. And there are many more. There are many more on the use of innovative technologies, in the use of agroforestry policies, in the use of in support of the small and medium scale industries to develop innovative, blended financing mechanisms working with the Green Climate Fund or the local banks. So there are number of it, and again means technologies are there. It is the application which matters. Means you must have heard about the slam dam technology which is used in the north to prevent rivers overflowing. So you inflate it and you prevent the rivers overflowing during flooding season. But a very novel way of using this would be, or is, what we developed in Burundi, that we use this, create a kind of an artificial lake or a pond for a small area, and we use this technology to store water. And this stored water is used during the drought season. So, the technology, slam dam technology remains the same, but it is the application which we have found out, or which we have innovative. And we have got a lot of interest from the countries for these kind of technologies, for these kind of local solutions, which are low cost, sustainable, and sustainable in the long run. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajiv. Thank you. And I think this has been very, very interesting to hear. And I appreciate your words on emphasizing the context, the regional context when it comes to technology transfer, and how you really have to be particular about what sort of technology works in what context. I also appreciate that your mention of how the network, it works as a knowledge transfer or a knowledge hub, and also its main objectives of not only being, or should I say, being a connector between technology mechanism and the finance mechanism, which is something that was emphasized even in the last COP27. I'd like to move on now to Ms. Simonetta Di Pippo, who will be speaking to us about space for net zero. Ms. Di Pippo, the floor is yours.
I'm trying to open the share. 1 second. Doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Can see it?
Yes, we can see it. Yes, thank you.
You
and
see
maybe if you use presentation
yeah,
mode.
Absolutely. Here we are. Okay.
Awesome.
So great. And first of all, thank you very much for. Can you see also me, or you see only the screen?
At the moment, I'm only able to see the presentation.
Okay, so I don't know what happened. Okay, good. Let me try again. Okay, so thank you very much for having invited me to this important event. And indeed, what I would like to do is to, in 10 minutes, trying to give you an overview of the importance of space and space activities and space technologies for what is at stake here. So first of all, it's important to notice that space is really currently everywhere in our day-to-day life. From supporting peacekeeping operations to disaster management, from bridging the digital divide to smart agriculture, from monitoring the impacts of climate change to international multilateral efforts to tackle the challenges of humanity. Well, climate change is a complex global crisis with impacts and consequences that are often more acute at local levels, as also was mentioned by the previous speaker. Now, a changing climate and warming Earth affects agricultural production, fresh water availability, frequency of extreme weather, which stimulate more extreme natural disasters, and etc. So we know that the emissions of greenhouse gases, at least most of it, are the result of human activities related to industry, transportation, agriculture, constructions, power production, etc. And we see impacts through pollution, desertification, extreme wildfires, increase of hunger, and epidemic issues. While making reference to the period 1998-2017, natural disasters killed over 1.3 million people and injured more than 4.4 billion, while hitting the economies with almost $3 trillion in damages. So really, space technology can enable climate action. So the point is that, at least in my opinion, they are underutilized and underestimated by the decision and policymakers. For example, well, here we can see water depletion in the Aral Lake. This is its evolution, the evolution of the Aral Lake from 1989 to 2009. And these are space images, so Earth observation images. The reason why there's been this drying up of the lake is probably due to the fact that the farmers in the area have been diverting rivers for irrigation purposes. And so therefore the lake has been depleted. And this is another interesting picture where in false color, we see the extension of a flood on the James River in South Dakota. Well, thanks to the comparison of images before and after the disaster occurred, we can measure the extension of the flood, the population affected, the rescue path available for emergency response, etc. Here, instead, is before and after snapshots of the Antarctica, and we see a dramatic decrease in ice and snow along the northern tip of the Antarctica Peninsula. In a later shot, a large portion of the ground is visible. You see on the right-hand side, as are bright blue melted ponds in the center of the island. Well, to tackle climate change and reach net zero, we do need space and international cooperation. As we have shown, as we said earlier, we need cooperation while considering local events and therefore the need of local solutions. So on one side, we do need to strengthen cooperation and federation of efforts. And on the other side, we need to focus at local level to implement climate actions and initiatives. But apart monitoring in a reliable manner disasters, water depletion, ice melting, what else space can do to help tackling the climate crisis? Well, first of all, allow me to mention briefly this wonderful international lab in orbit. Is at around 400 kilometers above our heads, and it's namely the International Space Station. We can monitor from here the surface of the planet, but we can also conduct experiments to increase our abilities to really absorb greenhouse gases. We can also improve technologies towards smarter agriculture, while we find solutions to maintain astronauts on board alive, producing food for themselves. So we develop technologies for supporting astronauts in orbit, and this can then have a lot of spin-offs on Earth. It has been mentioned, it's not new to any one of you, that space is also key for a socioeconomic sustainable development. And if we look at the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and the 169 targets underpinning them, we have clear indications that if we use Earth observation and the global navigation satellite systems we have, so geolocalization and navigation, 40% of the targets can only be reached thanks to the use of space technologies and data. And if we add higher resolution images and SATCOM to the equation, we rise above 50%. And this is true also for climate. In fact, some efforts have been done already to federate efforts and initiatives from space agencies toward a better understanding of climate change science. In particular, I would like really to talk about the initiative known as SCO, the Space Climate Observatory, which sees tens of space agencies and some UN entities working together with the aim of coordinating the various initiatives and foster local and regional dedicated solutions. In fact, when making reference to the 54 essential climate variables as defined by WMO, more than half can only be monitored reliably, continuously, and precisely only from space. So federating efforts also helps to understand where there is a need to develop new space missions and satellites to monitor better those variables which are in need. Just to make an example, it's quite an interesting document which has been published by the Office for Outer Space Affairs recently. This is really using space for climate action. So it's very focused and is providing a strategic mapping of existing international efforts using space technologies and applications to support climate adaptation, mitigation, monitoring, and resilience. Now, without forgetting the role that climate action will take at the Summit of the Future, as per our common agenda of the UN Secretary General, and you can see on the left-hand side a picture taken, a photo, part of the report of, the common agenda. In the common agenda that you can easily find, obviously, on the web, that for sure you know by heart, the Summit of the Future was scheduled in September 2023. It's the summit where there are a lot of topics, two of them. One is climate and the other one is space. And so there is a strong link also under the umbrella of the common agenda and the Summit of the Future that we can try to use, quote and unquote, towards net zero. I understand for the time being that the Summit of the Future has been postponed to September 2024. It's still extremely important that we work towards it. And clearly, if we start talking more and more about space, for example, under the COP umbrella, and starting with COP28 would be great, we can really try bottom up, if I may say so, trying to really prepare the ground for wise decisions from UN member states at the summit. And also, I took a very recent tweet from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, which I found interesting because it is trying to increase awareness about climate action. So talking about the issue also on social media is something that we should aim at. And in particular, I clearly advocate for talking more and more about the use of space for trying to tackle the climate crisis. And that's the reason why I believe that we should emphasize more and more that data from space can, for example, improve crop yields through precision farming, enable more efficient use of water resources, identify areas of risk of flooding, help understand shifting weather patterns, or provide early warning for natural disasters, or even provide critical communications infrastructure and impact assessment for first responders. Last but not least, allow me to mention that at the end of 2021, the World Economic Forum Global Future Council on Space, which I currently co-chair, issued a white paper on how space can be instrumental to achieve net zero. The white paper can be easily downloaded from the website, and it has the merit to group information on how space can be extremely helpful in monitoring variables, providing also a list of current and planned space missions from various space agencies. It also proposes the creation of an Earth Operations Center with the aim of federating all the space-based data climate related to work on spaceship Earth, looking at our planet as the system of systems. But to fully understand the importance of space, we need to make reference to space economy, which is the combination of the space industry itself, plus all the added value created thanks to the use of space-based data in any field possible of our modern society. It has a value estimated around $470 billion and projected to become a trillion economy by 2040. A large slice of this value will be created thanks to the strong link between space and green economy. And in fact, with space, we can, for example, identify the best location for solar and wind farms, reduce the carbon footprint in agriculture, help connecting everyone everywhere in the world, involving communities in the management of climate change impacts, and so on. So to summarize, we understood the space should take a more prominent role in combating climate change. This implies to start talking about this as soon as possible. And why not? Let's start with the first important available opportunity, which is COP28. We should have started already, I have to say, but better now than ever. We also understood that effective climate action requires both international cooperation and tailored national and local initiatives. This should be the approach at COP28 and beyond. For sure, climate action must be enabled by sound technical information paired with policy-oriented objectives. This implies that space must be more and more at the center of policy makers' decisions. To do this, we may need to expand our efforts in increasing awareness in civil society to stimulate a collective responsible behavior on one side, but also more focused attention on the use of space technologies for climate on the other one. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Simonetta. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for shaping or giving us an idea of how to move forward when it comes to space for net zero. Speaking on the importance of satellites for monitoring different variables and gathering space data, but also the importance of talking about how space can contribute to net zero in these larger forums. Or the most important forum, I would say, as COP28. Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to Mr. Jay Sadab, who is the Chief Visionary Officer of and founder of FortiGuard, who I believe will be able to enlighten us with some of the technologies that Simonetta has touched upon. Jay, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate the opportunity again, and it's very little to the huge amount of experience that has been shared already by the speakers. So thank you so much. I'll go by introducing FortiGuard first, and then talk about 3 different things that I think I would love to highlight throughout this talk. I'll also be precise. I know that I have to respect everyone's time and just finish before we collect different questions that I think the audience is interested to ask. So FortiGuard is on a mission to cool down cities, just like Saif started at the introduction. We're outdoor temperature experts, so we only focus on temperature outdoor. And we've been working with, let's say, strategic clients in the public and the private sector, helping them optimize the energy outdoor. So we don't focus on the buildings indoor, we only focus on the outdoors. And we're also helping them enhance the environment. with all aspects related to anything that operates with the outdoor environment. And we try to do that with access to data, mainly passive data. And most of the clients that we work with, they get a lot of mapping solutions from FortiGuard with insights, analysis, but also data identification processes with the help of AI. So throughout this session, I'm going to talk about data collection. I'm going to talk about the urgency, what cities are doing, what are we doing in the UAE, and how AI can help with that. I also want to let you know that the value proposition that we're trying to bring as in terms of FortiGuard is the access to different cities when it comes to temperature data. We've so far mapped 40 cities globally at almost 1 meter square granularity with temperature. And we do this almost as well every 1 second from our very small office in Abu Dhabi. To also give you part of the introductory, we're an Hub 71 Mubadalas startup operating here out of ADGM. And we started back in 2020, just weeks before Corona hit the space. And then now we're working all across data and different applications locally and internationally as well. The other value proposition we're trying to bring to market is the accuracy when it comes to data measurement. We've realized that temperatures in a city could vary by up to 15 degrees Celsius. And all of those variation as a baseline is important for the policymakers, clients, and also consumers understand how temperatures are behaving in their cities at a very granular level. We're also trying to make data affordable when it comes to cities and data at scale. So the use of data can be in the access of a lot of people's fingertips. And we're also trying to bring governance when it comes to energy optimization design solutions. And I'll talk more about that as well. And also the possibilities when it comes to the geospatial application and different industries. Now, the problem with outdoor temperature is that heat is turning up the volume when it comes to many or more obvious problems that cities are facing today. And, you know, we're facing a lot of increase in demand for energy and other infrastructure, our industrial and also building operations cost. And extreme heat can affect the workforce productivity. It can affect retail, tourism, and the increase of the economic consequences of cities when workers or companies are reallocating. It's also increasing water and energy use dramatically since they are very both closely related to the increase of temperatures. So the increase of demand has been qualified to the increase of use when it comes to AC in many cities around the globe. So we're making the energy infrastructure incompetent while we're producing more greenhouse gas emissions and waste heat from other energy production by the feedback loop of those temperatures being increased. And today we, I think, lack the evidence when it comes to understanding the problem at scale. There are little to almost no tools today that can help in mapping granular urban heat in cities. And of course, the granularity of those solutions measuring temperature on the ground is important, so we can bring a lot of predictability with accuracy to our visualization tools, so policymakers can put better decisions for their cities to become more resilient. This year, 2022, I mean, ended with 15,000 people who died in Europe due to extreme hot weather. And we're evidencing the urgency when it comes to prioritizing extreme heat for 2023. So this is like a close approximity of what needs to be done today rather than in the upcoming few years. And many European cities actually started to realize that heat waves are becoming more extreme, impacting people and the economy. And this is why we're here. We're here to talk about how heat is impacting people and, of course, the economy. So, for instance, if you take Greece, they suffer from poor air quality, where the heat is disrupting water supplies, electricity transmission, and the generation of it, of course. And millions of dollars are like literally lost in the work productivity, the cooling demand, the operational deficiencies that they are facing at a city scale. What is, I think, truly alarming to me is that extreme heat is projected to become 3 times more frequent in the next few years under what we are experiencing in terms of current emissions trajectories, the increasing of vulnerability among the population and our economy. Now, temperatures are rising. Athens, for instance, is one of many cities globally who are appointing chief heat officers and are trying to collect temperature data to provide timely information for public cooling centers available for people during heat waves that are really not only impacting our health, but sometimes taking our lives away. Dubai, for instance, and this is a place where Abu Dhabi, UAE homegrown startup, Dubai, for instance, started to take serious action when it comes to urbanization. His Excellency or His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid recently approved Phase 2 of Dubai 2040, the urban master plan for Dubai city to become a 20-minute city policy. And recently, we also witnessed the approval of the National Building Regulation Policy, which also includes a lot of sustainability standards for roads, buildings, housing, and other urban public areas. So when you city is very much focused on having a pedestrian 20 minutes walk for everything, that's a very bold vision, but also sets the trajectory when it comes to execution at a place where temperatures are high and continue to rise. So taking action is very important. Now, thermal comfort is a very pressing concern. And of course, design for the sake of thermal comfort is also becoming a lot more essential. Many current engineering practices, they're really lacking the governance and the guarantees to optimize the energy outdoor. We don't just want another paved, roadway out there that really looks shiny and place, or an inaccessible, open urban park, leading to a lot of variations on maintenance and operational defects with limited walkability for people. We want to see something more than that. And planting trees is probably also very essential, but would love to see more when it comes to intelligent approach on where to plant, how to plant, what trees to have, which irrigation systems can be used around thermal modeling solutions, and how they can be integrated with other hardscape structures, and how OEM operation and maintenance teams are guided with those operations. So thermal comfort is obviously working or operating a lot of through a lot of different details, but it's also getting lost in those details. And solutions for the sake of architecture at city scale is the thing of the past. Today we have to look into geospatial technologies where, for instance, ForeGuard can guide solutions on the ground with access to enriched data and insights from identification to guarantees and tendering specifications. We today can help cities finance resilience and ensure the optimal returns on their energy and operations, and securing a national return, not only on the health of people, which really matters, but also in other things such as retail, tourism, productivity, and other things. The second point that I'd like to highlight is how data is operationally collected. How do we think that if that collection, coupled with the access to satellite data, can come into proprietary analysis and insights, and bringing temperatures outdoor and the energy into optimized level? So for instance, at ForeGuard, one of the things that we do is we collect temperature at different levels. So we integrate different sensing technologies to deliver a unified digitization of urban and building outdoor energy to the microclimate conditions. We collect temperature at the subsurface. A lot of us know about the problem of the urban heat island, and the surface urban heat island is one of those categories where you can measure it at night, and collecting or understanding the energy or the impact of energy on our city surface is very important, or the subsurface is very important, understanding temperatures. We also collect temperature at street level, such as not only temperature, but also humidity, pressure, geolocation, dew points, speed, and solar when it comes to wind and radiations. We also try to collect human level temperatures at ambient levels, of course, and we try to use access to mobility. So a lot of our vehicles, the community drive around cities, and we try to collect a lot of temperature data, dynamic temperature data from those sources. We're also trying to connect canopy level data. Those are IR data, which is a thermal surface temperature detection technique you could find using drones or other thermal imaging solutions. And of course, the access of satellite level data, which is very proprietary and allows us to get imagery analysis 24/7 and historical access to data. Now, once all of this data is collected, we run different analyses, understanding heat assessments and how is this integrated with the existing GIS systems, providing clients with a lot of 2D thermal mapping with customized visualizations so they can understand the city behavior in terms of temperature throughout the day and night. We also help them in the building level, understanding the thermal simulations and how the microclimate of those building facades are allowing different scenarios in terms of materiality and outdoor landscaping, predicted when it comes to temperatures and how we could reduce those thermal impacts and the energy saving opportunities that could come from materiality, building physics, solar shade analytics and outdoor thermal comfort and cooling techniques. What we're also trying to bring to clients is the insights. So our insights really complements what landscape architects are doing, engineering consultants, the policymakers, the municipalities are trying to, standardize as well, and how material supplies are also providing to our ecosystems. So we run a lot of different water-based techniques and insights for our clients. We help them in their choice of materiality with the analysis and the thermal property assessments required to allocate those materialities on the ground, assisting locations and different suggestions when it comes to the specifications of thermal properties. We also try to help them with thermal techniques for the surface. So surface techniques are very important when it comes to our cities. Cities today are 30 to 40% of them is made of roadway asphalt and concrete, and that's a huge contribution when it comes to also cities heating up when it comes to temperature. So all of those things put together allow us to help the clients achieve net zero, increase their retail, tourism, and hospitality activities, and secure some industrial and safety operations when it comes to different also sectors out there, because urban cities are not only urban cities, but there are a lot of industrial activities happening there. And I think what's also important is that we still have the reliance on HVAC system, but building capacities or HVAC systems that are more resilient is probably important. So we help clients as well build efficient HVAC system capacities and also protect the harsh weather conditions, and most importantly, of course, the improvement of people's health and providing them with outdoor comfort by identifying risk areas in those cities. So thanks to our experienced team, we continue working on more proprietary models to allow what we built at 40Guard, we call it 40 Engine, machine learning, personalized visualization to the geospatial market. So our clients can build better GIS and navigational temperature applications with what we call smart locational and behavioral data and scale. At scale. And of course, by successfully demonstrating those possibilities, we think that we will be able to service a wider range of consumers with navigation tools to identify, for instance, cooler routes instead of just shorter ones as well, and help of course, the community on doing cooler outdoor activities activities, exploring cooler zones, whether this is for their properties or to spend the time they want outdoors, and perhaps identify cooling shelters to seek in case we have heat waves. And the last thing I'll talk about, I know that I've extended, it's already 2 p.m., so I'll try to be short and precise, is there are a lot of ways when it comes to collecting temperature, of course, at scale, but that comes with a lot of challenges as well that we think that AI can solve for, and can help us make such data more usable in different sectors and industries, especially when it comes to the geospatial market. Data at scale can be done only if you manage to automate data collection processes. And this is something that a lot of gurus are interested in when it comes to data, but also data comes with a lot of challenges for data governance structures. And when you work with different catalogs and different, we call them master management protocols, you have to make sure that all data information are done with different best practices when it comes to data engineering, data science, and of course, data visualization. So the access globally to data is massive. And that is why the technology today needs to address the transformational connectivity from enterprise data, weather events, or other nature-based activities. So getting access to the public sector data while providing their open data for the good of the public use, and connecting with the community IoT, which is a very good practice that can enable ecosystems to practice into the access of data, but also the access of visualizing and getting the benefit out of this data. AI today can allow all of this to be automated and can allow us provide an edge when it comes to services that operate, store, warehouse, and deal with all data events complexities when it comes to temperature at scale, providing also different unique models for the market to exercise on and build different applications as well. We think the market needs an AI enabler, so data at scale can be provided for thermal analytics, and different queries can be augmented or automated as well when it comes to data exploration. We want the market to have different access to different dashboards, decision optimization tools, and we also want them to make sure that we build AI, but for the sake of fit of purpose AI. So it's trusted AI that can act as a model builder when it comes to machine learning deployment and providing insights like an orchestrated insight that allows building apps and services using visual recognition, natural language understanding, and also other assistance when it comes to creating such tools. To become in this market of different users and applications, we really need to cater as well the solution to different products such as 3D and 2D mapping, customer UI visuals, and make sure that we build a strong system of integrators to allow different APIs and GIS streaming requirements. At FortiGuard, we very much believe in building and training AI in different ways, and that's why we created the brain of temperature, which we call the Fori engine. So we can add more proprietary models that allows the geospatial providers build better GIS and navigational temperature applications for smart and locational behavioral data. And although a lot of people shy away from the term of AI because of it becoming, a general cliche, we've been successfully demonstrating those possibilities by serving a broader range of applications in different verticals and with different market lead clients, possibly, of course, with the government and private sector. What I'm also proud of is that FortiGuard has been also working in a lot of academic partnerships with the University of New York in Abu Dhabi and the University of Wollongong in Dubai. And we've been collaborating with universities such as Mohammed bin Zayed University of AI, and internationally with a lot of universities who are interested in how we can make data available when it comes to temperature, used by the fingertips of every single consumer, utilized by the enterprise, and also standardized for better cities by our policymakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much. And thank you for letting us know about the impact of heat on people, planet, and economy, and how urban startups such as yourself are helping to tackle this impact. I know we've gone over, and so I really appreciate our guests for staying over, but maybe we can quickly go to a question each, and I will start with Jay. So we have a question asking about whether you refer to a lot to cities mostly, and are you also considering rural and poor areas?
Absolutely, and this is something that we focus on first. So we do prioritize poor areas and rural areas as well. Quite frankly, urbanization is bringing a lot of temperatures. There is a lot of vulnerability, though, in those places. And we started to make sure that our solutions, whether they're delivered to clients who are interested in objectives related to retail, industrial, or even operational activities, also consider the factor of human comfort. And that's why in every solution that we deliver to our clients, we voluntarily allow them to get access to some analysis for humidex, thermal comfort, and what if they deploy into some different solutions that our insights are possibly suggesting how is this going to impact the lives of people, and of course eliminate the dangerous days that a lot of those areas we talk about are experiencing. So I know that in my conversation, I was talking about Europe suffering from, a lot of people dying from this. But this is only to highlight that the problem is probably a lot more bigger in places where we don't have a count on how much it is impacting the lives of people, the daily lives of people, actually, and a lot of different other things when it comes to their health, when it comes to senior people, kids, and economically, the access to a lot of different other things. For instance, we see scenarios in Africa where kids cannot reach school because of temperatures. So they can commute regardless how the infrastructure is built, but they can't still have a walkable, access just because of temperatures impacting their journey to their schools. So we do very much focus on that, and that's one of the drivers that we have in FortiGuard, is to build this for all. We want this solution in everyone's hand and by everyone's access as well.
Thank you, Jay. My next question to Ms. People. I wondered, because I saw that you had some emphasis on bringing space to these larger fora, such as COP28. What is something concrete that you want to see the UAE take a lead on when it comes to COP28 specifically and space? I'm sorry. Did you hear my question? No. I don't believe we can hear you at the moment. I don't see how I can unmute. Okay, seems like we're having a muting issue. Oh, I think you might have to do it yourself. Maybe clicking the mute button on. Or maybe we can give control to can we give control to Simonetta to see if she can unmute herself? Oh, apparently you have control. No? Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what the issue is. Maybe maybe I can move on. Let's see if we can go to Mr. Rajiv. We have a question on how is there any collaboration between the CTCN and the UN Technology Bank?
Well, I would say yes and no. Means we know that the UN Technology Bank is working on issues related to technology need assessments. In various countries, they are focusing on science, technology, and innovation, and this has been a kind. Means working on national systems of innovation has been a new thing in our work program, which is going to be implemented or which has started its implementation from the 1st of January. We had some connections with the UN Technology Bank in the past, but they were limited to participation in each other's events and prizing each other of the work which do. But um, uh, but we are keen to have more collaboration more than this with the UN Technology Bank, and we are going to work towards it in our new program of work.
Thank you, Rajiv. I have a question for myself. But before that, how are you linking climate finance and collaboration with GCF on providing technology?
Okay, the way the climate means how we are doing is that once we have delivered a technical assistance request to the countries, means it needs to be scaled up. Means because we have laid the minimum or we have laid the foundation. And it needs to be the building needs to be built up on that. So we help and support countries in preparation of the GCF concept notes. We help and support countries in and through the GCF concept notes. Means once it is approved, we have plans to push the countries move forward towards its implementation. We have supported more than 30 countries to access climate finance through the GCF readiness program. And as you know, the readiness program of the Green Climate Funds, the starting step is to identify technologies, to identify actions which needs to be taken, which can be scaled up. So we have worked, I think in the GCF portfolio, we are the largest provider of services as a delivery partners through UNEP for climate technologies, specifically on climate technologies. So, and we have, I think the last number I count is 30 countries or 30 GCF readiness proposals have been initiated by us, which are various stages of completion. Now, this definitely would lead to more number of concept notes and ideas which are scalable.
Thank you, Mr. Rajiv. That's very insightful. Unfortunately, we've had some technical issues with Ms. Simonetta, and I think since we've already gone over time, we might as well end it at this point. Thank you to all our speakers. It's been really a pleasure to have them here, and thank you. I really, am very grateful for their time. Just to remind everyone, our session is recorded and will be posted on a YouTube channel. And this isn't the only or the last session of 28 for 28. We will have more on more sessions to come, and we will have more that will include technology. Appreciate everyone for being here, and thank you so much from the UN Resident Coordinator's Office here in the UAE. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for an amazing session. Bye-bye.